Excellency Mashfee Binte, Ambassador of Bangladesh to Nepal. Thank you once again, all of the speakers for joining with us. And let me begin with Her Excellency Mashfee Binte for the opening remarks. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Let me begin by saying how extremely honored and privileged I am feeling to be here today, sitting in the same dais with one of my mentors, Professor Dr. Gowher Rizvi. I have had the great opportunity of working with him since 2009, and he has been working tirelessly towards regional integration, improving connectivity between the countries, especially in this sub-region, BPIN sub-region, and particularly with giving attention to promoting trade and commerce, hydropower cooperation, energy in other areas. I'm busy today, but has taken the time off on a personal request from me. So thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a very interesting. I know you have a very interesting session ahead of you.
For his keynote remarks.
Thank you so much for hosting me today. Also very grateful to our ambassador for a very kind initiative to arrange this, co-sponsor this event with AIDIA. I'm really grateful. Although the program notes here a keynote speech, but I think I'll stick to the one that is at the back, which is a roundtable discussion. This is more intended in the nature of roundtable discussion to get some comments and questions from you rather than making a long speech. That would be delighted to do, but it would be more valuable if I didn't. Let me start by saying that, over the years, a general skepticism has grown about regional cooperation. Whenever we talk about regional cooperation, people ask what has been achieved, what has been done. And also instantly try to point out the various problems that exist. But what is often ignored is that we are in South Asia in a most enviable position. The very fact that I am able to speak to you directly without any interpreters, the fact that I come to Kathmandu and I am talking to everybody, not only in English, in Hindi, in Bangladesh, we have so much commonality in the region, shared historic experience, a common culture, and also common problems and opportunities. Also, the second most important thing about the region, which we have again ignored, is our proximity that exists. The ability to move people and goods at relatively less cost, etc., we have more or less ignored. Along with it, we are now a region which is extremely positively well located between two thriving economies, China and India. And both these countries have an interest in the stability and prosperity of the smaller countries of the region. So what I'm trying to say to you is, without much fanfare, without much notice, a real opportunity was created for developing this relationship. So when our government Prime Minister came to power, she realized that while we remain enthusiastic supporters of SARC, but to wait for SARC and for all of us to move in a locked step was not going to lead to it. So what we said, we will each, whoever agrees to move forward, 2 countries, 3 countries, 4 countries, we will move forward and not wait for the rest. And when others want to join in, they may join in. And this gave birth to this emphasis on sub-regional cooperation. We felt here are the low-hanging fruits which we can quickly gather. Of course, it doesn't mean that we don't have our issues. India has issues with Nepal, India has issues with Sri Lanka. India has large number of issues with Bangladesh. In fact, there was a time during the first BJP government, we were frequently told, I spent a fair amount of time in Delhi, I was frequently told, enemy is poverty. All the countries of South Asia are fighting poverty, without exception. And we realized the only way we would be able to get out of it is harnessing the resources of the region in a cooperative manner. Now let me start by giving some examples to see how you will see how quickly this actually began to bear fruit. If you look at every country of South Asia, without fail, including India, the development, the growth rate is held back because lack of adequate energy and power, including India. At one level, in some regions, India is surplus. But if you look at India as a whole, it is suffering from lack of energy. Bangladesh we have very little gas, some coal, hopelessly our growth has been. Those of you who are from Nepal know only until recently how difficult it was, despite the fact you are sitting as potentially the largest source of hydroelectric power. But what is more interesting, while we all realize it is energy that is holding our development back, but we also realized that the energy could not be unblocked or its potential realized until and unless we work together. Let me give you a couple of examples. India's largest hydroelectric potentials are in northeastern area, you can go up to Arunachal, Assam, Gowher. All that area, huge potential. But the demand for energy and power is in West Bengal, in Bihar, in UP, Eastern UP, Uttar, forgetting the other part of Bihar. Jharkhand, sorry, the word Uttarakhand was coming to my mind. So that's where it is. But India has no way of developing that potential, because how will it evacuate electricity and take it to the region where the demand is? The only way it can do is to go through Bangladesh. So India's ability to harness depends on cooperation with Bangladesh. Bangladesh is desperately short of power. Mercifully, we are now able to grow. Last year we grew at almost 7.3%. In the last 6 years, we have raised our generating capacity from less than 4,000 megawatts to in excess of nearly 15,000 megawatts. Huge leap. And we were able to exploit every possibility, including buying power from India. So, sort of things that you could not have imagined. We are now touching $1 billion. It was again possible because of. Likewise, our other big problem is water. Scarcity of water. The demand for water has increased. And what we had been doing all along, fighting for the scarce resource. So the size of the cake was diminishing, the demand was increasing, and we were fighting about who gets which piece. Today, we have an agreement whereby we will be able to talk in terms of basic water management with emphasis on augmentation of water rather than quibbling about who gets what, unless you increase the size, the quantum of water. We are now, the Ganges Barrage project has again come into talk. That will again give a big boost to our need. So these and many other ways, by focusing on the sub-region, and for instance, for Bhutan and for Nepal, both of whom were heavily dependent on India for access to the sea, we now have an arrangement where both Bhutan and Nepal can use our Chittagong and Mangla port for access to the sea. Connectivity and transit. When we talked of connectivity and transit, we talked of all three countries. We did not talk of India alone. Our hope is we will be able to have direct connectivity through India into Bhutan and into Nepal. And it is with those hopes that we initiated this project, which is a concretely 1,000 megawatt project being. So basically what it boils down to is that if each of the country wants to realize its fullest potential, none of us can do it on our own. It can only be done by working as a sub-region, later on maybe region and beyond the region, because our location is such that we have also enormous potential of going beyond the region. We are all members of Binte. We are, well, Nepal is probably not a member of BCIM, not yet, but what this will do is to link to the two of the greatest markets in Asia, which will open up enormous opportunities for the neighboring countries.
From Nepal and the government of Bangladesh signed an agreement 3 months back during the visit of Dhaka, and I believe very soon Secretary level meeting is going to be happen, and I encourage for the Trilateral Hydropower initiative in Nepal. This initiative will definitely help to the 3 countries, also the region. And now I request Secretary Mr. Chandra Ghimire for the special remarks on behalf.
Good afternoon and namaskar. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to especially Excellency the Ambassador. Even last evening, she was insisting me for my presence, though I was extremely preoccupied, and my preoccupation lies with the preparatory activities. That is for our MC11 preparation, and that is scheduled to be 10th, 11th, and 12th December this year in Buenos Aires, WTO, the highest body, the meeting of highest body of WTO. Why it is very important? Because being a LDC, we have our own constituency, and so we are supposed to act accordingly to safeguard our own interest. Anyway, that is subsided for a while this time to come over here. And the second thing, today I'm very delighted having such a glorious figure in Kathmandu, Mr. Professor Rizvi, who is not only an administrator, also a scholastic figure. Of the several years he has spent in Oxford University and some other reputed universities of high reputes, international reputes, say including different center of excellences. And now he has been a part of, very active part of policy corridor of South Asia. So when I came to know, he has been quite instrumental to put forward many thoughts how we can, similar to his expressed views. Obviously, our subcontinent had been highly integrated during the colonial era till 1950s or sometime around that. Probably when we started liberation in our respective country from colony, then started the real disintegration, the course of real disintegration in our subcontinent, and then that must have fragmented our market, our society, our spectrum, different spectrum in our world. But when the 1972 sometime, that time Bangladesh invented and came up with the idea of SAARC, having SAARC as a common forum, South Asian forum, then again we started to reverse that train or that course. And then gradually we started stepping into the different fora, that is for sake of our regional market, for sake of our regional interest, for sake of our regional development, for sake of regional many policies and so on. Obviously, the level and amount of effort so far we have put forward, somewhere they are not adequate. Our country, very scholastic and perhaps one of the best economists of our time era, Jeffrey Sachs, last year. And we were interacting, and suddenly he noted one very beautiful statement: your kind of infrastructure, especially in this region, in this subcontinent, unless and until you improve, it's very, very hard to imagine the realization of your prosperity. So that should be the point of departure. I mean, that was what his prescription at that time. So I'm quite along with that idea. So going along with that idea, but that has to be the point of departure, and that requires a lot of common understanding. Why? The reason is it requires our cross-border movement, obviously. It requires our cross-border economic activities, obviously. So many fronts are there. We need to come out of our own boxes, and then only could happen we could materialize that idea, and then could bring in that level of prosperity what we have envisioned. Energy is obviously one of the areas where we need to work and put our greater amount of efforts. That regard, Bangladesh could be very instrumental. India, obviously, always being at the center of has been supportive, but the level of and the amount of our common understanding, what we have put forward or what we have demonstrated, that might not be adequate. So that part also we need to scale it up, and then only we can fertilize that idea. Fourth part and some other trade-related facilities. That is also again another front where Bangladesh could be very instrumental to support our sub-regional trade. Mongla and Chittagong is one of the most viable ports available with us. So obviously that seriously tempt all of us to utilize that benefits. And we are very much along with that idea, and so whenever there is a bilateral or sub-regional call, we are floating along with this idea so that we would be able in the days to come. Motor vehicle agreement under BBIN, that is again another area that urges our greater attention. Obviously, they're not all of the potential countries we have agreed to operationalize that agreement. But we need greater attention, and last evening when we were chatting informally, that time too, I had informally passed on this note from my side to Professor Rizvi to look into that possibility so that Bangladesh could be a very helpful instrument to operationalize that agreement. BBIN and BBSTEC, obviously, they also are instrument available so far with us. But words should not be limited only in the documents. They have to come in action, in effect. And that regard, a greater amount of our zeal, greater amount of our preparedness, greater amount of our commitment and determination, especially from the top level. That is, I think my indication is sufficient from the political level, and then the bureaucratic level, and then goes ladder by ladder, technical level. We need to mobilize our total strength, and then only becomes possible these all things. Today, I think I spoke a lot, so though I was not supposed to, since Mr. Rizvi, he is over here available for our sake and for our common sake. So, not taking much time, would like to, before I conclude, would like to express my gratitude. You, despite your busy schedule, came all along from Dhaka and enlightened us with your ideas, and would like to see forward to your side. There are many things, as last evening too, we have discussed. Once again, thank you so much.
First of all, I appreciate AIDIA and Leadership Bangladesh for inviting and giving us the opportunity to extend our opinions with Honorable Advisor to the Prime Minister. Most of the areas you have already covered. I like to, myself, I am also South Asia Policy Analysis Network. It's okay? Regional navigation I was talking about. I have named Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, also involving management of South Asian water, what we call open water. We are very much concerned. We know that India is doing these diversion projects, Brahmaputra, for example, and also Sharada diversion. And Nepal is considering that should we make it Karnataka River Basin, Gandak River Basin, and also Kosi River Basin, so that we could manage. India even started from Varanasi to Calcutta for this cargo projects. That navigation, I think, is very much suitable for South Asia, for water management in South Asia, number one. Number two, BBIN, of course. If we could, you talked about the connectivity. If we could make India agree BRI, it would be really wonderful South Asia. Bangladesh, you are getting $27 billion. Pakistan, okay, they have bilateral, but CPEC is getting around $65 billion. Now CNEC, what we call it, and also China, Nepal economic corridor. I like to include China, India, Nepal economic corridor. CNEC, it should happen There is a reservation. But we like to convince our great friend India in South Asia that I think BRI, we should take with the BBI, connect with the BBI, so that the connectivity will be more effective. And even, of course, Sri Lanka, Her Excellency knows, Sri Lanka is enjoying BBI and also Myanmar, India, Bangladesh, China. Next point, I have a new proposal in presence of our Deputy Chief of Mission from India and also from ambassadors. I have always one thing in my mind, to promote this regional trade, tourism, transportation, transfer of technology, the human resources management, hydropower generation or agricultural development, social development sectors, that we are energy, environment, we are trying. Jointly, SHARP, in-state, we are trying. But even though it is not very effective. But my point is that why don't we shape SHARP, second point, that I have suggested government of Nepal that we hold SHARP 19 in Kathmandu. If not possible in Islamabad, why not make it second time in Kathmandu and to share SHARP in fact. This is one recommendation. And regarding this chicken neck, India has a very sensitive part between Bangladesh and Nepal. And I have a vision that why not make a tunnel? Nepal and Bangladesh and India's security will be, once Indian government of India will be considering that the transit economy, why only Nepal should talk about transit economy? India will benefit out of transit economy if there will be a 17-kilometer tunnel from eastern border of Nepal to Bangladesh. One new proposal I like to, because the time is very short. And of course, Indo-centrism, India is a big country. We have to work together with a good cooperation from
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Our three countries are already working collaboratively on the connectivity issues as well as a number of trilateral issues. And as Dr. Gowher Rizvi has talked about, already there are a number of ideas which three countries are already discussing. So we have definitely made a forward movement on all these issues, and BBIN is one of the live examples, and three countries are already working to actually operationalize this BBIN agreement, at least in the context of three countries. So I think there is a very important forward movement at a regional basis, or we can say sub-regional basis. In terms of these new projects or new proposals, I think all these proposals can be looked at it. I think everybody in the South Asia region has the equal responsibility to move forward any of such proposals. We'll be happy to actually see any such proposals formally, and I think the government in the regions will be able to reflect on various proposals which has been talked about, and we can definitely see. We are definitely committed to work on regional connectivity and many other issues together. Thank you.
For Rizvi for his insightful presentation and the priorities that the countries in the South region, particularly India, Bangladesh and Nepal, need to focus on in coming days. He has rightly pointed out some of the areas that we need to focus on, like connectivity, trade, transit, investment, and energy, water resources, sector cooperation, and so on. I think we have, to some extent, moved ahead in several sectors. Like we have already formed a sub-regional working group at the official level, at the foreign ministry level, and we have already had 3 rounds of meetings so far, and we have identified the areas of cooperation that we need to focus on in coming days, particularly in water resources and energy, and the transit and connectivity sectors. I understand that this is fine and it's moving to the right direction, but what we need at the moment is a deeper dialogue at higher level. That is more important to concretize the ideas that have come at the working level. And besides that, there is one more area we need to focus on, is to find some operational modalities on the implementation of these projects in different identified sectors. And similarly, we need to focus on creating frameworks like power trade agreement we already have with India that was signed in 2014. We are also working on bilateral, MOU on energy sector cooperation with Bangladesh, and I hope that this will be signed soon. And these frameworks will definitely provide some guidance to us in our future course of action. Similarly, institutional mechanisms like permanent mechanisms at different levels, at the secretary level or at the technical level, would also greatly facilitate our work towards realizing this sub-regional cooperation in our region.
It is very much important since we have Bangladesh is producing a lot of gas. So far as I heard, there is sufficient reserve of gas in Bangladesh, abundant reserve of gas in Bangladesh, natural gas, which can be utilized for production of energy. And of course, northeastern states of India, they are, of course, they have the oil field as well. Of course, petroleum products, they are mining. And of course, Nepal and Bhutan, they are rich in hydropower. Although we have not been able to utilize that capacity, and we have been utilizing very minimum of this capacity. And of course, what I see that by enhancing cooperation in the energy management and developing sub-regional grid, I think it will help to exchange energy, power trade, as well as improve the production level of the industries and agriculture sector or the real sector of the economy. And secondly, the important thing, just a couple of points I want to make. It is the most crucial thing that we have to think at this point of time is operationalizing BBIN motor vehicle agreement. Of course, it has been signed 2015 June. More than it has become more than 2.5 years. But the countries, they have not been able to develop the protocols, and even it has been stopped due to, as you have rightly pointed out, due to Bhutan. Now, maybe the three countries may move forward, may advance with the arrangement of the agreement, and Bhutan may join later on. I think that is the best way to handle this. And of course, what I see that in respect of the BBI and motor vehicle agreement, it is not only the connectivity of the physical infrastructure. At the same time, there is need of having soft connectivity. That is very much important. Although there are some provisions made in the motor vehicle agreement, but it is not sufficient. Not sufficient in the sense that the integrating the 4 countries, and in this case maybe 3 countries, we need to have the ICT connectivity. That is very much important. Customs and border agency cooperation. Just I will give you one example. We don't have any customs harmonization in the sub-region. So if we are getting, Nepal is getting transit services through Bangladesh port, and there have been some movement of the cargo through the ports of Mungla and Chittagong. But if you see the customs procedure that is applicable in Bangladesh, it is different from India, and our customs procedure is different from India and Bangladesh. So that means any traders who wants to export through the ports in Bangladesh or import to the port in Bangladesh, it has to comply with 3 different set of documents and 3 different procedures assigned by the 3 respective governments, Nepal, India and Bangladesh. So I think until and unless we harmonize these customs procedures and the border agency procedures, we cannot get efficiency in trade, we cannot reduce the cost. So that is very important. We have to go on, you see, because now the technological solution is available, in the sense that if we could harmonize the process and documentation, and if we use the information and communication technology, one set of documents can be passed through all these customs, border customs point, as well as the port customs. So I think one of the important things that we have to consider for enhancing connectivity within the region is to get the harmonization of the border agency and the customs. And for that to happen, I think we have to have the sub-regional transit agreement. We have the separate transit agreement with India, another transit agreement with Bangladesh that was signed in 1976. But what I think that we have to now, the time has come in order to have the sub-regional level transit transport agreement. That is very much important. And PBA and motor vehicle agreement is not sufficient for that. And of course, people-to-people connectivity is also equally important. That talks about visa facilities.
Without going together, connecting together in the natural way, that's water, I think nothing is possible. So my suggestion is, first let's go with the compulsion relation. That's water. When you say water, naturally the flood control will be there, the dry months water flow will be better, the irrigation system will be better in Bangladesh, India and Nepal of course. And I can see when you say water, naturally the dam is coming. Without dam, we can't control water out because our nature is different. Our rainfall is just for 105 days. The rest of the months, we are minus and minus and minus, and we can see this is not coming in one time in 10 years. The flood not coming every 10 years or 20 years. It's coming every year. The dry months coming every year. And if you see the water value, I can see about 60 million people in southern Nepal and India, especially UP, Bihar, and Bangladesh, depending on Nepal's water. Because Nepal is just spread over east and west. That's why all those Himalayas water flows to Nepal to, let's say, India, almost 70% during wet months. So I can see the first problem is water problem. We have to solve it. When you solve one water problem, the power problem will be solved very easily. Now I can see India needs lots of power. I just compare China and India. China having about 1500 gigawatt, same population, almost same growth like India. India having only, let's say, 300 gigawatt. So India power surplus, I never believe that. That's going to last only for a couple of months, couple of years, nothing more than that. India needs lots of power, lots of power. So why we send all our regional resources to Gulf or to Australia to buy coal, rather than trying to develop our one neighbors and trying to make the subcontinent much more better. I fully agree, Daksha, the proximity, so near, still we are too far. We have common culture, but we don't share it to each other. And naturally we are linked very much, but we don't use that one, which we were using in the past before. Next, I can see our common enemy is poverty. It will continue unless and until we come together. And I work with SARC for past 20-25 years. I'm a bit frustrated with SARC now. I tell you, SARC was too distance vision, without proximity. Afghanistan is thinking in some way, Maldives is thinking in another way, Sri Lanka thinking in third way, Nepal thinking in fourth way. So all this common problem not coming among the SARC. That's why SARC failed, I tell you, frankly. I don't blame Pakistan-India relation. I blame the need. There was no need of Afghanistan and Nepal relation. There was no need of, let's say, Mali and Kathmandu relation. There was no need of Bangladesh and maybe Afghanistan, Pakistan relation. So that's why it failed. But as you perfectly said, I fully support BBIN. Now we have to move quickly BBIN because we tried in mistake, we abandon anything else. But BBIN can move fast forward, and India is the big factor. And I believe, I've been to many BBIN conferences in India and in other countries also, in Bangladesh also. And I can see India is looking very positive for BBIN, but still we are going slow.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm involved in tourism and hospitality. Now talking about trilateral cooperation, I think a joint tourism promotion has a great potential, like indigenous tourism, a Buddhist circuit in combination with the three countries. Interestingly, Bangladesh has many Buddhist sites which many people are not aware of. And I think even sports tourism has a great potential which is not explored. So I just wanted to put these 3 points forward. Thank you.
Industry and also microfinancing. So what can Nepal learn from it?
Professor Rizvi, due to political instability, the policies and programs set by one government is changed by another government. And at present, we are very much suffering from, we are nourishing the corruption instead of regulating and reducing it. How do you see all these proposals, prosperity set out by our speakers materialize in this future? And how the corruption is controlled in such a situation in your country instead of we are lacking good governance?
As we have already told, we have communities, we have close proximity, and we have exchange visit at different level from people, even government, and bureaucracy level, all level. We have very frequent visit, and we have this sort of discussion also frequently happening. But we are not really bringing up good results. Both for all countries, we are suffering from deficiencies like energy, water, transit, ports. Last time also we have in 2016 Bangladesh Business Forum, we discussed about the transit matter very thoroughly, even power part. But things are not really going as a result. We cannot see that things. My question is how we can convert these things. Bottom line, I see that thing. Thank you very much.
So we can go further on the development of the hydropower and others using the seaport. And the next thing is there are a lot of Nepalese students studying in Bangladesh in the medical sector. I think it will be good between Nepal and Bangladesh bilateral relation. Nepalese medical students who are studying in the Bangladesh will be the best ambassador for Bangladesh to Nepal to have the connectivity between the two peoples. Thank you.
In my opinion, of course, the main barrier of development of South Asian region is the lack of connectivity. Since there is no connectivity, it is very difficult to develop this region. That is the main reason I see. In other words, we are all members of SAARC, but no connectivity. So now no direct air connectivity from Kathmandu to Kalangu. So this is one. Likewise, the main problem I see is the lack of air connectivity and the connectivity among the countries in the South Asia region. Thank you.
I fully agree the observation here put forward from distinguished participants from many fronts. You have plotted such beautiful ideas. There should not be any space to disagree what you have said. So from that angle, what I might be doing in your response, I must be strengthening your position in a way, let's say. Number one, Mr. Oza, I'm not seeing him over here this moment, must have left. One point he has beautifully raised, the importance of interdependence that we are yet to realize so that we could have materialized that idea, because such globalized era, interdependence is an element until and unless we realize that we cannot progress jointly. That is one point. And another is a harmonization part, that is regarding customs practices, procedural parts. These are all things basically while crossing our border. Obviously time has come and it has urged us, we must have a trilateral sort of or sub-regional sort of let's say transit treaty. I don't know when it will come into effect, but one day, sooner or later, we have to have it. That is a second observation I wanted to say here. Third is lentils, the instance of lentils, former Commerce Secretary, he stated during his presentation. There is one more thing he must have added, that is the potential our export of yarn. Quantum wise,
volume-wise, value-wise, it has a great significance. Yes, certain obstacles are there, and we have requested to other side, and the other side has assured us going to be sorted out sometime very soon, and we are quite hopeful. But yarn is one of the potential where we could, in a very short span, easily accept that regard. I mean, that is in regard export from our side to Bangladesh. Another was beautiful things our former ambassador, Mr. Bishnu Nepal, he has raised. Because of the time limitation, I am not going each and every, but emotionally, many fronts I am alone, definitely. Connectivity and mobility is another front we need our greater attention. Also, Ambassador Sri Lankan Excellency, she also mentioned. One day, I think some 6 years ago, one gentleman, then he was ambassador of India to Nepal, Jayant Prasad. He noted with me personally, Chandra, if you can do something, that time I was about to take up my position in Calcutta as Consul General, and he noted that statement. If one thing, only one thing you can do the revival of air connectivity between Calcutta and Kathmandu. Why? The reason was very succinct. I mean, more the mobility, more the connectivity, more the economic activities. No doubt at all. And that is the front where we are losing our ground. Whatever amount of zeal we do have, whatever kind of commitments we do have, but until now, yes, connectivity and mobility, though proximity advantage lies with us, still we are lag behind. Forgot during my outset presentation the possibility of inland waterways. Later, some of the speakers, I mean, some of the distinguished participants, you raised that concern. Bangladesh, to my knowledge, over the last 2 years, has put huge investment into this sector. India also doing the almost same. And we are upstream somewhere in upstream. So sooner or later we have to come up with this idea so that Bhutan also and Nepal also can benefit out of this possibility. Because water is there, waterways is there, just what we need is we need to develop a few infrastructure obviously, and once it is there, then we could benefit out of this possibility. In that regard also, perhaps we need a sub-regional sort of understanding so that we can, without any hindrances or hassle, can move cross-border. With this, I would like to conclude here. Once again, thank you so much, and eager to listen to Professor Rizvi. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. That was really very helpful. First, let me say how very grateful I am for so many interesting observations, and it is such a rich conversation that I doubt I will be able to do any justice to your comments. But one thing is sure, no matter on which, how we look at it, half empty or half full about regional and sub-regional connectivity, we are all excited by it. When we say it is half empty, because we want more. When it is half full, we are saying, look, we have got so far, let's go further. But essentially, all of us are in favor of regional cooperation. Let me start the first thing that Chandra, you started with, and I refer to your absolutely connectivity is, there are two parts to connectivity. One is the political and one is the physical infrastructure. What held our connectivity back was political. You know, during Pakistan time, India and Pakistan, Bangladesh borders, it's Pakistan, we actually dug out the railway lines. We actually dug them out so as to prevent trade and coming and going with India. We had a wonderful, the sort of investment that is required, if we were to invest, it would be economically non-feasible. It becomes feasible when Bhutan, Nepal and India also use our transport infrastructure. So now that politically it has been made possible, all the obstacles have been removed. You know, our leader of the opposition in Bangladesh, on 2 occasions she said that one on connectivity and the other on, which is another form of connectivity, buying electricity from India. She says this would go over my dead body. Mercifully, she's alive. And both these things have been agreed. So what I'm trying to say, it was the political thing. The other thing which I tried to say earlier on, it is the change that has taken place in India, in Delhi. The confidence, the generosity, and India's understanding that resolving issues with the neighbors is an essential precondition to the global role that India aspires to play. So those things are in play. Now we have to convert the opportunities that exist, and that is why now rapidly we are rebuilding the railways, reconnecting the roads, building highways, because we now realize that, just to give you one example, for a long, long time, all the international donors said Padma Bridge was not feasible, economically feasible. Finally, they got around to it, saying, okay, it might be feasible, but it will become feasible, it will pay back, will take so many years. Then we went ahead with our own efforts to make the bridge. But with the improvement in political connectivity, now, even before the bridge is ready, we are talking of a second bridge, because we are saying it will not be able to take the traffic. Once you open it up to your neighbors, one bridge is not enough. We have to go to a second. The other thing is, so far, much of this infrastructure development has come from government to government effort. But in India, Indians have today, Indian construction firms are now global. If you go to the Middle East, most of the large projects are being done by Indian developers. They have experience, they have expertise, they have capital. We are encouraging them also to come in, because the traffic is assured now. It will become feasible. So yes, connectivity needs to be, infrastructure needs to be developed, but it could only be developed with agreements. Agreements are in place. Now there are still areas like working on the standard operating procedures. How will you use our port? How will you use our road? How much tolls will you pay? So forth. But these are technical issues which will be resolved in time. The real thing has been done, and we can be very, very optimistic. The other thing is, this is not going to be very popular. I think we put too much emphasis on trade balance and imbalance. Trade balance is one indicator of the state of your economy. But it is important to realize that we buy from a country not because it is a part of our goodwill, but our businessmen see that as best value. So we will go to China, as Indians are going to China, as many people are going to China. We buy, in the case of Bangladesh, $7 billion from India because our businessmen think that is the best value they can get. So putting too much emphasis on trade imbalance, I think is misplaced. And the way to overcome trade imbalance is not by saying I'll reduce my trade, because if you reduce the trade you will hurt yourself. What you do is you persuade and facilitate investment. So that's what we are doing with India now. We are saying, look, we have large labor force, our electric power generation is improving. Come and set up your factories and investments here. Take advantage of the duty-free arrangements that you have. Produce your domestic demands in India and export it back to India. That's the way we hope to reduce the trade deficit. Again, as I say again, I repeat this. While we have $7 billion or $6 billion deficit with India, we have 5 to 6 billion surplus with US, 5 to 6 billion surplus with Europe. Ultimately, does your balance of payment tie up? That is important. So I don't think we should, I think this is an extremely useful proposal. I think it came from each other about the, I think it came from you, tripartite high-level dialogue. Huh? Sorry. I think this is a fabulous, this is the time has come. But at the moment, Bangladesh is in a unique position to bring this about. And the time is right. And a lot of the things which are beginning to cause pessimism in us, which is causing irritation in us, is because obvious things cannot be done. A high-level dialogue, even if it is one-off to begin with, well-prepared dialogue, where every country's concerns are taken on board, could be an extremely, and I take this with me to Dhaka. Let's see if we can pursue this. I think somebody said we have large deposits of gas. I wish we had. We don't. It is rapidly dwindling, and I wish we had. Maybe we will have in future. Again, BBI and vehicle agreement, as I said, it's only a question of time. I don't want to discuss these things publicly. Sudan has some genuine problems. And it has to work around those problems before this can happen. But in the meantime, I'm hoping Nepal, India, and Bangladesh will go ahead. And important thing about going ahead is it certainly removes many of your worries. People worry all sorts of things. Now that we have buses running between Dhaka and Calcutta, Dhaka and Agartala, Dhaka and Guwahati, trains running. Until a few years ago, people would have said, oh, this will happen, that will happen. Now, we have a train running from Dhaka, non-stop to Calcutta. Immigration, passport, everything is done at 2 ends, as if you are traveling by plane. That's the way it acquired the momentum. From where it was impossible, now it is, the momentum is so fast that we have cut down the travel time by 2 hours. I think this question of harmonization and standardization is extremely important. Extremely important. Now, in our case, this is what I can say, we have a Bangladesh Standards Testing Institute. One of the first things we did in our first summit, we obtained Indian help to strengthen and train and upgrade our BSTI. In fact, a sizable amount of the first line of credit that we got from India was invested in BSTI to But then it's not enough. Unfortunately, old habits die slowly. Vested interests develop. After we got the BSTI going in some of the areas we harmonized, we suddenly realized that both in Benapole and Petrapole, the clearing and forwarding agents had become so powerfully entrenched that they were making it impossible for you to export or import through other land borders. Just give you an example. Bangladesh Walton, a motorcycle manufacturer, won a large contract in Assam for exporting motorbikes. People in Benapole and Petrapole made it impossible for that motorbikes to go from Tamabil into Assam. No, you have to go through Petrapole. And they convinced everybody that that was the government regulations. We looked through, dug through the regulations, no such regulations exist. But for years they prevented things from going because it was in their interest. So gradually we are doing it. We are now building 18, and one is with Nepal, the Bangladesh, very modern thing, which will facilitate. We are building land ports back to back, so that the whole process doesn't take time. And you are absolutely right about the use of ICT. We are saying, why do you have to bring the papers and give it at the port? It should be sent before even you leave your Home Depot.
In advance.
In advance, Home Depot. And now we are also talking to say, look, why should there be 2 custom checks? Every country is only concerned about imports. So, things going from Bangladesh to India, let India check. Things coming from India to Bangladesh, let Bangladesh check and transfer the data. So that you are spared the pain of 2. But harmonization will take time. It is standards. Sometimes standards are set in a way to create non-tariff barriers. And what we are doing, whenever our business people tell us that we address it one by one. Because there is no overall overarching mechanism by which you can solve all these problems. You have to do it one by one. And sadly, it takes a lot of time to do that. I like the concept of relationships being optional or based on compulsion. You see, about relationship, you cannot legislate or policy-wise dictate which one will be first, which one will be second. There is a logic. Businessmen don't wait, they will go forward. So that is why we took a very early decision. All the advice given to us was, go for the low-hanging fruits, go for the less problematic issues, and then attempt, as you build confidence, attempt the more difficult ones. The 2 prime ministers, both India and Bangladesh, said we want across the border resolution. And that was the best instruction that they could have given. Otherwise, we would have been still today arguing what to do first and what to do second. And that way it was. Of course, it takes a statesmanship. It takes political courage and political legitimacy that you enjoy in your country to make some bold decisions. In Bangladesh, the Prime Minister took this bold decision. The investment was, results would come in the future. The costs were, political costs were when you took the decision. Now let me give you one example. We had serious border issues with India in both border demarcation and what is known as adverse possession. We were occupying Indian territories, Indians were occupying Bangladesh territories, and then there were large number of enclaves, Bangladesh territories in India, Indian territories in Bangladesh. And since 1947, these could not be resolved. It got more and more aggravated. The two prime ministers made a unique decision. Their decision was, it should not hurt the livelihood and interest of the people living there. That was the answer. Now, a unique thing happened there because of that decision. In adverse possession, the normal solution is you push back the people out of your territory. In this case, we changed the maps. Never has happened in history. Where we did not want to displace people from their homes and their livelihoods and their farms. Rather, we went round and changed the map so that is why it took so long to get it ratified in Indian Parliament. Because it actually involved, in real terms, it didn't make any difference. It balanced out. But there was actual change of the map. All these Bangladeshi enclaves went to India. Again, we said to them that citizens will have the freedom to choose whether they will go to India or they will go to Bangladesh, and they will be compensated accordingly. Happily, as we predicted, very few, a handful, wanted to leave their homes and their lands. Everybody stayed where they are, and nobody was displaced forcibly. So, those things are happening, and yes, you are right, water cooperation is the main thing, and that is why a historic event happened in August 2011 when Dr. Manmohan Singh visited Dhaka. He agreed to basin-wide management of water. Until then, we were doing river by river. And when I say river by river, we had only done one river out of 56 joint rivers. So, that means things are moving, and we are, in this it is transport, sharing of water, resources, everything is comes together. You made a, I think you've gone, yes, the lady has probably gone, made a wonderful point about tourism. Actually, that you have hit the nail on the head. Today, one of the important areas of tourism is sacred tourism or spiritual tourism. Including Buddhist. And Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, India, Thailand, all have important. We have some of the oldest viharas, Buddhist viharas in. So these sort of things are very, very much possible. And in any case, with rising affluence, tourism is beginning to happen. And we are seeing easing of the visa regime. Nepal has always been very forward-looking when it comes to visa. Sri Lanka is forward-looking. I say is because there have been some changes. Unfortunately, we in Bangladesh are not, and I hope our ambassador here is listening to me, listening to me, because we want to make it easier for people to visit. Our friend in India is there. They have done an enormous job. Visa was the single biggest irritant in Indo-Bangladesh relations. It will eventually reach a seamless travel, but we'll wait. There are so many things I don't have any more time to go. Some political stability, good governance, corruption are obviously what is holding back our rapid development is often absence of political stability. But again, fortunately, we are now seeing in Nepal, after years, you have a constitution, you have a government, election taking place, hopefully stability will come back. In Bangladesh, for the first time in history, we had a continuity and fairly stable government. Of course, India has always been stable. Sri Lanka, again in its own way, has been so that is there. But one thing we know, I don't know the level of corruption in different countries, but one thing I know, that no country that has corruption can ever eliminate poverty. So our ability to eliminate poverty depends on our ability to remove corruption. And you can go and check statistics of every country in the world. Wherever there is corruption, there is poverty. And before poverty can be eliminated, corruption has to be eliminated. And that again, of course, is a function of government. Let me end by saying, I think we have all suffered frustrations. We have all alternated between optimism and pessimism. I could give you hundreds of instances where once it was just talk is now a reality. But good stories don't make news. There are many, many good stories in our sub-regional world. I think you need to have good seminars, more speakers, more transport information. But I promise you, for the reasons I indicated at the very start, there is a sea change in how many of you could have believed a few years ago that India would give a line of credit of $7.3 billion to Bangladesh? That is the sort of change that has happened in Bangladesh, which is bringing about the, not in South Bangladesh, in South Asia, that is bringing about the transformation. And that is what makes me optimistic. I know I'm an incorrigible optimist, but we have good reasons to be optimistic.
Thank you, Honorable Rizvi, for giving us your valuable time to organize the event. I believe the event has given you a lot of information, ideas, many things, and I hope Trilateral Cooperation would move forward in commitments, and we can have a chance of, by taking a bus from Kathmandu to Dhaka and by taking a train from Dhaka to Kathmandu. I believe Dr. Rizvi would take the initiation, and Ajayji is also here, then Secretary is also here. I encourage to go ahead for those initiatives. And I must thank all of the audience for coming here and joining with us for the interaction. And we able to receive very genuine questions to our eminent guest. I believe it was a very good conversation, sir.
Very rich.
And I believe we'll have also same kind of opportunity in coming days. Before going for a tea and coffee, I would request my colleague, Ms. Kamada, the director of the organization, to share memento to our two eminent guests. Please come forward. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, please provide a token of love to Chandra Ghimire. Thank you once again for joining with us today, Excellency. I am the organizer of the program. I must also thank to.
यो प्रोग्राम चाहिँ स्पेसली डक्टर गोहर रिजवी बांग्लादेशको प्राइम मिनिस्टर अफ बांग्लादेशको इन्टरनेसनल अफेयर्स एडभाइजर हो उहाँ अनि उहाँको स्पेशल भिजिट नेपालमा भइरहेको थियो अनि त्यसकै उयोमा चाहिँ यहाँ एम्बेसी अफ बांग्लादेशसँग हामीले यिनी दुईजनाको जोइन्ट इभेन्ट हो यो हाम्रो नेपाल र बांग्लादेशको चाहिँ हाम्रो दूरी धेरै छैन किनकि हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा चिकन नेकले मात्रै दुईजनालाई सेपरेट गरेछ हैन त्यही पनि हाम्रो दुई देशबीचको राम्रो बायोलेटरल रिलेसन छ हैन तर हाम्रो ट्रेडहरुमा पनि अलिकति कमजोरी छ हैन अनि त्यसपछि अर्को के भने यो हाम्रो तीनटा देश जुन चाहिँ हाम्रो इन्डिया हुँदै हामीले बांग्लादेश पुग्नु पर्छ हैन त्यो तीनटा देश बिचमा पनि राम्रो ट्राइलेटरल कोअपरेसनमा अलिक ग्यापै छ। त्यसमा चाहिँ अब हामीले के कस्तो पोलिसीहरू ल्याउन सक्छ हैन, हामीले यो ट्राइलेटरल हाम्रो रिलेसनसिप कसरी राम्रो बनाउन सक्छ, त्यसकै पोलिसी रिकमेन्डेसनहरू विभिन्न हाम्रो एकाडेमिसियन्सहरू हुनुहुन्छ, पोलिटिसियनहरू हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँहरू पार्टिसिपेन्ट्सहरू हुनुहुन्थ्यो, उहाँबाट पनि र हाम्रो यो स्पेसल गेस्ट डाक्टर गोहर रिजवी अनि हाम्रो एम्बेसडर हर एक्सेलेन्सी एम्बेसडर म्यास्फी बिन्ते उहाँबाट पनि केही कुरा बुझ्नको लागि यो प्रोग्राम अर्गनाइज गरियो।
कस्ता व्यक्तिहरू सहभागी भए?
यहाँ चाहिँ धेरै जस्तो हाम्रो एकाडेमिसियन्सहरू हुनुहुन्छ हैन, अनि डिफ्रेन्ट पोलिटिसियन्सहरू पनि भनौँ हैन, अनि हाम्रो यहाँ ब्युरोक्र्याट्स अनि हाम्रो स्टुडेन्ट्स जुन चाहिँ इन्टरनेसनल रिलेसन्समा पढिराख्नु भएको छ, अनि प्लस हाम्रो जो बिजनेसम्यानहरू उहाँहरू हुनुहुन्छ।
जिज्ञासा पनि उठ्यो, कस्तो जिज्ञासा?
जिज्ञासा चाहिँ त्यही हो, हाम्रो कसरी त्यसमै थियो जिज्ञासा चाहिँ हाम्रो यो थिम जस्तो छ नि ट्राइलेटरल कोअपरेसन, अनि उहाँहरूबाट उठेको जिज्ञासा पनि तपाईँ हाम्रो यो तीन देश बिचको रिलेसन चाहिँ कसरी राम्रो बनाउन सुधार्न सकिन्छ त्यही अनुसार थियो। आजको प्रोग्रामले चाहिँ के पाए भने हाम्रो अब हाम्रै कसरी मेन्टेन गर्ने, हामीले तीनटा देशबिच हाम्रो रिलेसनसिप कसरी सुधार्ने, त्यही हो मेन हाम्रो थिम पनि त्यही हो हैन। हामीले यहाँबाट पाउने ज्ञान भनौँ या त जिस्ट भनौँ प्रोग्रामको त्यही हो क्या आजको मेन।
आइडियाले चाहिँ के गर्छ, विशेष गरी नेपालमा के गर्दै आइरहेको छ?
आइडिया चाहिँ एउटा थिङ्क ट्याङ्कको रूपमा काम गरिरहेको हो नेपालमा, एउटा पोलिसी जस्तै डिफ्रेन्ट रिसर्चहरू गर्ने हैन, अनि यस्तै यो आजको जस्तै इभेन्टहरू अर्गनाइज गरेर तपाईँले गभर्मेन्ट लेभलमा पोलिसी एडभाइस गर्ने, त्यही हो हाम्रो आइडियाले गर्ने काम चाहिँ। आजभन्दा अगाडि हामीले प्रोग्रामहरू हाम्रो धेरै जसो यस्तै हुन्छ हाम्रो पोलिसी एडभाइस गर्ने, किनकि योभन्दा अगाडि हाम्रो एउटा प्रोग्राम भएको थियो नेपाल फरेन पोलिसी कन्फरेन्स, त्यो एकदम सक्सेसफुल भएको थियो। त्यसमा पनि उहाँ डिफ्रेन्ट ठुल्ठुला तहका मान्छेहरू सहभागी हुनुभएको थियो हैन। अनि हाम्रो अब आउने दिनमा पनि धेरै प्रोग्रामहरू हुँदैछन् हैन, जसले चाहिँ हाम्रो भविष्यका फरेन पोलिसीहरू चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो हुने हैन, स्ट्रङ नेसनल इन्ट्रेस्टलाई कसरी अचिभ गर्ने, त्यही।
विशेष गरी कुन क्षेत्रको विकासका लागि आज आवाज उठेको थियो?
आजको चाहिँ विशेष गरी बिजनेस ट्रेड हैन, अनि एउटा वाटर म्यानेजमेन्ट, तीनटा देशले कसरी वाटर तपाईँले म्यानेज गरेर हैन युज गर्न सक्छ, अनि तपाईँको अरू चाहिँ टुरिज्म भयो हैन, त्यस्तै कुरामा विशेष आज कुराकानी भएको थियो।